What's up? It's AK Babyface. Subscribe to supporting icons for the latest boxing news.
So to follow on from the last video about the WBC rankings, which are obviously Deontay Wilder is still champion of, I thought I'd look at the WBA, IBF, WBO, as Anthony Joshua is the unified champion of those three sanctioning bodies, plus the IBO. But we don't talk about the IBO, don't need it to become undisputed. You just need the main four. Now, just looking at these rankings, to be honest, they're a bit of a head scratcher. I ain't going to lie. For me, I do prefer the WBC rankings. It's not that WBC rankings are correct or anything like that, not at all. It's just that it looks better than what the WBA, IBF and WBO do. That's my honest opinion on it. But obviously Joshua, he has a choice of 45 positions that he could fight at any voluntary. Obviously 15 on 3 of those sanctioning bodies. It's not 45 opponents, of course not, because some guys are ranked in more than one sanctioning body. Wilder only has to choose from 15. Joshua can choose from 45 positions anywhere there for a voluntary. But looking at some of them, as I said, there are some head scratches and there are some that's quite interesting as well. I mean, we'll start off with the WBO. Obviously, Tom Schwartz is number 2, Tyson Fury number 4. Okay, but again, that's down to inactivity. Tyson Fury spent 2.5 years off, and the 2 guys that he fought weren't really worth mentioning. But getting a draw with Deontay Wilder, yes, we know he defeated Deontay Wilder, but ultimately, officially, it's a draw. So anyway, these guys are going to fight anyway, Schwartz and Fury. Obviously, number 5, Oscar Rivas, he is fresh on a victory over Bryant Jennings. Dillian Whyte is still number 1, but again, that could change if Alexander Usyk defeats on May the 25th in Maryland, Carlos Takam. Because then he will take the WBO mandatory position because he was WBO champion at Cruiserweight. Zhilei Zhang, number 6, from China. If Joshua was to fight him, that is mega money, really is. As it would be with number 10, Kayotaro Fujimoto from Japan. That is monstrous money. If he was to go to Japan and take on him, or China take on Zhilei Zhang. Carlos Takam is still in there as well, number 12. Daniel Dubois, number 13. Now he's going to be fighting number 15, Richard Lartey. Now, as we know, Frank Warren, who is his promoter, of course, has very good relationship with the WBO, as does Bob Arum as well. So Frank Warren will always have his fighters ranked highly in the WBO, whether they deserve it or whether they don't, they will always be there. For me, Daniel Dubois hasn't done enough to warrant a top 15 WBO, because Joshua could call out Daniel Dubois next if he's allowed a voluntary. He could. But as I said, you've got Richard Lartey, number 15 as well. I have no idea who number 14 is, Ali Erin Demirezin. Don't know, no idea. But look at number 11, Evangy Romanov. Russian, 12-0, only been a pro for 2.5 years. But he's the guy who knocked out Deontay Wilder in the amateurs, knocked him out. So it'd be interesting to see if Romanov is actually going to try and creep into the WBC at some point. At the minute, he's not ranked number 15 or top 15. Maybe the WBC is going to keep him away from Wilder. What he doesn't want to do is, or they don't want him to knock out Wilder again. Of course they don't. So they're probably going to keep him away from the WBC, I would imagine. But Romanov is an interesting one, that is for sure. Number 8, Junior Farr from New Zealand. Some still say he's a prospect. For me, he's a bit old to be a prospect, but anyway, a very good fight, still undefeated. Number 9, Ajit Kabiel, the European heavyweight champion as well. And obviously number 3 is going to be Anthony Joshua's next opponent, big baby Gerald Miller. Now Miller, he's ranked number 2 by the WBA as well, and ranked overall number 9 by the Ring magazine. So legitimate opponent, American, undefeated. Josh is going to be travelling to his backyard for that one. So let's move over to the IBF. I don't think I've missed out anybody from the WBO, have I? Oh yeah, Tyron Sponge, German guy, don't know him too much, so can't really say too much about him. Yeah, so we'll move on to the IBF. Kubrat Pulev is the mandatory. As we know, he defeated Hughie Fury for that one, and then he fought Bogdan Dinu, of all people, last time out, followed by the infamous kiss with a reporter who was clearly lying about Pulev in the aftermath of a lot of it. So, but Pulev is the mandatory, and the IBF, they always have not rated as number 2 or number 3 or number 1. I don't know why they need to do that. No other sanctioning body does that. So what's the point of it? But anyway, it doesn't matter. The Number 3, Ajit Kabiel, the European champion. As I said, he's also number 9 on the WBO, and he's in the WBC as well as number 8, for those who want to know. Legitimate fighter, very good fighter. Adam Karnacki, number 4, Polish-American, undefeated, best friends with big baby Gerald Miller. He's part of the PBC crew as well. Otto Wallin from Sweden, also undefeated. Robert Helenius, most of you guys will know him with Dillian Whyte defeating him, where Robert Helenius made it a very, very ugly fight and being on the back foot the entire fight. Robert Helenius was supposed to be the replacement for Vladimir Klitschko at one point. But here he is making a bounce back since he's lost to Dillian Whyte. He's had a couple of good victories as well. One of them, I forgot the name of the guy, but he's the one who knocked out David Price. Anyway, Robert Helenius knocked him out. So he's ranked quite highly, number 6 in the IBF. Number 7, Oscar Rivas, which we've already said before. Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz ranked number 8 here, but ranked number 3 in the WBC, even though he lost. Weird that one, isn't it? But anyway, he's ranked number 8. In fact, he's not ranked on the WBO or WBA. We know the WBA reasons. It's because Luis Ortiz failed the PED test not so long ago. For me personally, I don't think Luis Ortiz should have been banned from the WBA. High blood pressure medication, WBC agreed. Yes, that was probably the reason. So for me, WBA should not have banned him. But anyway, it's what it is. It's number 8 in the IBF. Number 9, Tom Schwartz, as we said. Tyson Fury's next opponent. Michael Hunter, moving up from cruiserweight, part of the Matchroom stable, looking real good. Took out Alexander Ustinov not so long ago. Stopped Martin Bakole as well. Michael Hunter's looking the real deal from America, number 10. Sergey Kuzmin, again, he's still kind of a prospect in some ways. He's only had, a dozen fights or so, but he's looking the real deal. He really is, as is Filip Hrgović as well, number 12. 13, Joseph Parker. Yeah, he's ranked quite highly, number 6 by the WBC, and he's not ranked anywhere else on any other sanctioning body, which is very surprising for me. I think Joseph Parker is much better than what his rankings suggest, especially with the IBF and certainly with the WBO and the WBA. Hughie Fury, he's still on there, even though he lost his last fight to Kubrat Pulev, but he will be fighting again in Manchester on May the 25th. Go check out previous video for that, or just go check out my website. You can see all the upcoming fights. And number 15, Andy Ruiz Jr. So, yeah, Andy Ruiz, he's been taking on Alexander Dimitrenko, going off memory, in about a week or two. So, yeah. That's not a bad one, the IBF. I'm not going to criticise it too much, but here's kind of where I have the problem. WBA. Okay, Manuel Charles, the regular champion, we know. For me, WBA, trash that title. Please just trash it. Every fighter, whoever has it or is linked to have a fight with it, ends up failing some kind of PED test. It's cursed. Bury it 6 feet under, please. So, Manuel Charles still the WBA regular champion, even though he failed a PED test. I'm not quite sure how he got himself out of that, but he did. But the Anthony Joshua tournament, as they were calling it, seems to have stalled again. They've been trying to do this tournament for about a year or two now, and it keeps stalling. Originally, it was meant to be Manuel Chavez, Fraser Quendo. Why Fraser Quendo's still there? Well, we know why, but he hasn't had a fight in 3 years. What's the point? Really, what is the point? He's way too old, and every time he stepped up, he gets knocked out, he gets beaten. He's even got lost to Oliver McCall. I mean, come on, he shouldn't even be there, no matter what the politics are. But anyway, Manuel Char set to fight Fraser Quendo. Trevor Bryan, number 1, was meant to take on big baby Gerald Miller. Obviously, Miller's now going to be fighting Joshua, so maybe Trevor Bryan might be taking on maybe Dylan White. Who knows? You never know what's going to happen, right? Otto Wallin from Sweden, number 5. Number 6, Oscar Rivas. So that tournament could still go ahead. Obviously, the winner of Char Quendo taking on Trevor Bryan versus whoever it may be. The winner of those 2 fights then fight. The winner of that one then fights Joshua to consolidate the WBA regular and WBA super that Joshua has, if that makes sense. Number 7, Kuzmin, as we've already said before, and Hrgović. Povetkin, of course, Joshua's previous opponent. Number 9 on that one. Fujimoto again from Japan. Number 11, Andy Ruiz Jr. 12, Michael Hunter. Adam Karnacki at number 13. Number 14, Bogdan Dinu, still ranked, even though he's lost his last 2 fights, big baby Gerald Miller and Kubrat Pulev, but he's still there. And Dylan Carmen, number 15. Which, again, is a bit of an odd one, that Dylan Carmen will be ranked as number 15, as I said earlier, with the number 11 on the WBO, Romanov, who knocked out Wilder. Just want to get that one in there again. He defeated Dylan Carmen about 6-7 weeks ago, knocked him out. So why is Romanov not ranked higher in the WBA than Dylan Carmen? It's weird, isn't it? It's weird how they work all this kind of thing out. So there are some head scratchers on there, and there are potentially some decent fights. But as we know, the WBO pretty much dominated by Bob Arum, Frank Warren, up and down all the weight divisions. So anyway, that's what's going on. Drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, and of course subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.